When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
supposed to ride, standing in the station, ready to step inside. All you can see, something that you do, was red as the future was late ever yellow. Train rolls in the station, you cannot make a move. Something inside you gives you heat, and then you know it's true. Is the fog lifting, or is it in your mind? You stand frozen as time unwinds. Platform, you can weep and moan, or you can reach your hand up and stop standing alone. Let them take your hand as you lift your face. Rise and take your place.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection. And it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Hey folks, if you're watching on TV, you're going to find out that my co-host is not Rob, though he is wearing plaid, though he is wearing a hat, though he's all ready to present the Rob role. I want to introduce you folks to my co-host for the hour, and that would be Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Hey Charlie, thanks for joining us on Eye on the Target Radio.
Amanda, thanks for having me. I'm doing the best I can to fill in with Rob, so I spent all day reading about rifling.
Oh, did you? And thought really hard about making your beard grow so that you could have the full manly beard as we go.
I tried putting some potion in it to do what I can, you know.
there we go. Well, we will do the very best that we can do, sans Rob, and see what happens, and hopefully not have the wheels fall off the bus, because that's always bad. And then he'll say that it is all about him. So we'll run with that. So Charlie, everybody is dying to know our opinion. They really, really are on this horrific news that was in the news about the shooting on the movie set Rust. And so yeah, it was a horrific incident. I can't say accident. I can say incident where guns and gun safety were not followed in the same manner in which Second Amendment people, gun people, are expected to follow them. So, what was your initial thought as you had heard the news?
I think what I thought first is it's certainly not good that it happened. It was obviously some sort of an accident, and somebody failed somewhere. And it obviously is too bad that it happened to this woman. But there's part of me that wants to say, forgive me for what I'm about to say, it couldn't have happened to a better person. You know what I mean? Because Alec Baldwin is such an anti-gun guy, and he likes to parlay himself with all the anti-gun folks, that when he went out and made a mistake, it doesn't make him impervious. It makes him just like everybody else, and everyone can make mistakes, and this one just happened to be on him.
Right. The information that's rolled out has been fairly slim on the ground, and in some cases not necessarily factual. And so you're trying to, as part of the gun industry, a standard policy is wait 72 hours for the real story to come out, not just a partial to the story, but the real story. And so as you're waiting for that real story, you are trying to see what really happened, because they say it was a prop gun, then they say it was a real gun, then they say that the cast has been playing on the range when there was no filming going on, so they were actually utilizing the guns as real guns. So whether there's ammo or no ammo, or all of those types of things. And then the question is he says he was handed a gun that was told that it was clear. And then the question is, was it or not?
Right.
There's so many different things associated with what happened. And so, it's just a horrific thing. And we know in the gun world that when bad things happen to innocent people. And so that's a piece of this whole thing, is the fact that through no fault of her own, through no actions of her own, a family was denied a wife, children were denied their mother, bad things truly happened, and now we're having gun safety conversations. Now, I know, Charlie, you were an extra in a movie, as was I, different movies, different times. How much training, how much information did your extras get on what was happening?
Well, the film that I was in was just some 48-hour film, and it was legit. They have 48 hours to make a film, to write the script, to film it, to add music to it, to edit it, to render it, and to get it to publication. What we got was this. Hey, we're going to run here. We're going to act this out. This is what you do. This is what you do. This is what you do. Okay, good. And scene, and we're packing it up and we're going somewhere else. We're going to do something similar. And so for us, there was nothing like that at all. And we didn't have any, certainly didn't have any firearms in it, but that's just what it was. It was quick. It was quick. It was do this, do this, do this. Okay, good. Move on. Do this, do this, do this. Okay, go somewhere else. Do this, do this, do this. Okay. Your experience in White Boy Rick, right, a little bit more real than what I had.
Right, and I was going to roll a couple of those things out because, one, it was a movie that involved guns. Two, the spot that I was in was actually a gun show scene, and there were a lot of extras. And I feel like I was somebody with a big fly swatter telling the extras to stop touching that. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Put that down. You can't touch that. Do not.
Yeah.
And so the extras were all like frantic little kids in a candy store going, gimme, 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 because if I have a prop in my hand, they may show me on film. And so there's a whole lot of sort of out of control portions of it where the extras are looking for how do they get their film time and their screen time.
Right, how do they get some screen time? Sure. I say this. One of my friends, I went to go visit her at work one time, and I told her that I'm coming from a gun class, and I'm trying to use a Jedi mind trick and talk around what I'm trying to say without coming out and having to say it. It's like, why should you say it when you can wink, and why wink when you could nod? You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
So I kept saying, hey, listen, I'm coming from a gun class. And she's like, okay. And then I said, are there, is this going to be a gun-free zone? And she's like, no, why? And I said, I'm coming from a gun class. And I said, is everything going to be okay if I come in? And she's like, yeah, why? I said, I'm coming from a gun class.
You're like,
called
clue?
Me, right. She called me into her office.
Clue.
She shuts the blinds. She shuts the doors. And she's like, okay, let's see her gun. And I think this is the same thing that happened to you. When people that aren't around guns get around guns, they want to fondle the hardware. They want to put their hands on it. They want to check everything out. And right. They learn things from movies, and obviously we know that that's bad stuff, and things that they learn just aren't true. When you had a new student a firearm, they put their finger on the trigger, and I always say they put their finger on the trigger because guns were ergonomics before ergonomics was cool. And it's just what they do.
Right, and there's a whole lot of that where it's like, look, you have to be taught not to touch it. You have to be taught not to touch it. And let me repeat that. You have to be taught not to touch it. And so there's so many people who miss that, don't get it, and so it just becomes this, it's a danger to everybody around. And so, honestly, I believe as we watch this, as we watch the news, as we watch what's happening with the prosecutors, the question's going to be, who is going to be placed at fault? Because there's both the legal process of being placed at fault, and then there is the civil process of being placed at fault for insurance and those type of things. Because don't forget, there is someone who is hospitalized and there is someone who is dead because of bad handling. And, no matter what this was, were they actually filming the movie? Was this before the movie was being filmed? There's so many things that nobody really knows about it yet. And I'm just going to say that if you are a gun person, don't revel in this family's misery. Because whether the guy who pulled the trigger is a jerk or not, she's dead because somebody didn't pay the care that they should have paid to it. Go ahead, you got 15 seconds.
I hate saying that. You're right. I mean, I hate saying that it's nice that it happened to Alec Baldwin, but the memes are really pretty funny, and unfortunately, it's also at this woman's expense.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Rangemaster certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back. And so thanks so much for your comments from the instant feedback off to the side that is talking about the Alec Baldwin situation. I mean, we have to say that gun safety is for everyone, and we will do our very best to share that information and to share the safety aspects and to have the hard conversations with people and to potentially, if need be, take a firearm away from someone who is not utilizing it responsibly until you can get them to the information that they need to be able to make a responsible choice or action. And so, I mean, there have been times that I have reached across and taken control of someone's firearm in a classroom situation or on a range situation, and with a let's talk, with one hand on their gun, let's talk. And then once we're done talking, we can decide whether you get to stay and play or whether you get to go home, or whether, even if you're not my student, you can grab all your toys and your attitude and take it home with you. But there has been a spot where I have, and I'm not necessarily proud of this, but I actually dressed down a guy at the range so badly or so well, I don't know which way you go with this, that
a fine line.
that man stayed on the other side of Rob the entire rest of the experience. He wanted nothing to do with me or to be anywhere near me, and he wanted to be able to, he would look at Rob and say, "Can I touch my gun now?" Because he wouldn't or couldn't or shouldn't touch it without my permission or without Rob's permission. I mean, that's the circumstance. But under my watch, under any instructor's watch, everyone's safety is your responsibility.
Absolutely. I've been teaching classes for quite a while, and in the class I always show people the A-Zoom dummy ammunition that I use. I still follow the safety directions, finger off the trigger, safe direction, and check to make sure that it's unloaded. But, we're doing the loading portion. And when I have students do this, I get that they're nervous. They've never held a gun before. And people sometimes do flag me and laser me. And I always jokingly say, "Okay, good. Now hold the gun this way. Now point the gun right at the instructor." And they're always like, "Oh, my God, I feel so bad." And I'm like, you know what? I hear you. I get it. It's okay. We're not at a shooting range. At the shooting range, I ask you not to point the gun at me, and I pull my gun out and point it at you and then ask you to stop. And for me, it's a controlled environment. We're here at the controlled environment. There's no live ammunition here. I get that you need to learn how to do this. For a reason.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I had one lady one time, oh my gosh, last year, or maybe earlier this year, I had a lady say, "How come you don't do live fire classes?" I'm like, I do do live fire classes, but this isn't the live fire class. And then at some point during the class, when somebody was loading, she's like, "Oh, now I see why you don't take people to the range all the time." And I'm like, yeah, people are new, people are nervous, and I get it. And you can do a class with 4 or 6 or 8 people, but when you get them to the range, you don't want to have more than 2 or 3 people, because then it gets a little, like you said, somebody wants to grab a gun, somebody wants to touch it. "Hey, I think I've learned all this. Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this?" Yeah, no, sorry, one at a time here.
Right, exactly. And and you're sitting there, and to the point where you just are going to be like, "Stop, everybody freeze now."
Yeah.
What have you learned? Let's put it into action here, because, and you go from there. So I believe that what we're going to get out of this movie set is the fact that they have experts that are hired to be on the scene to be the gun expert. And so at least partially to blame, if not culpable, is going to be this gun expert, in addition to the person who actually pulled the trigger. Because if the gun is supposed to be empty, If they were told that it was empty, as a gun person, we know that we never trust anyone's safety to someone else's eyesight. So what's the first thing you do when you pick up a gun? You check it.
Check to make sure it's unloaded, yeah.
You can confirm the status that you were told. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I was doing some research this afternoon on all of this and checking out some stories and checking out some videos. And from what I understand, they the Union 44, which is the local acting union, I guess, out there, they did not have a they had a prop master, but they didn't have a weapons master, as they called it, or the weapons expert. They just had a prop master. And we've all seen so much stuff about all this in the last day and a half. We've seen there's a young woman with, I don't know, face tattoos and face piercings and tattoos was that was supposed to be the prop master or the weapon master. And, I guess her father used to do this, and I mean, heard that story. I heard that the assistant director was the person that was handling the gun, and he's the one that put it on the cart. I've also heard that it was a real gun, and there's no reason to assume it wasn't a real gun because it was a cowboy movie, so they're using single action revolvers. We would certainly assume, but I did hear that the cast and the crew would go out on the off-the-clock gatherings, and they would go out and shoot, which goes back to what you were talking about with non-gun folks seeing guns and wanting some screen time. These people live in California, we can assume all this. They live in California. They have restrictions. They can't handle guns. They can't shoot guns. You bring them out to New Mexico. They could probably buy ammunition. I tried to find out, but I couldn't find out if you could buy ammo without a permit in New Mexico. But they could buy ammo and go shooting in the desert when they're not filming, and then accidentally end up with a live round in the gun they're using for the movie.
Charlie, we'll just say that most of free America, you can buy ammunition without a permit. But
this is true. But you're taking the kids. You're taking the kids out, and you're like, all right, you can go to free America. You've been in occupied territory in California, and you can go to a sporting goods store and buy ammo. You don't have to produce a permit and a background check and all this other stuff
and training and all of that.
Kids are going to go be wild. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So at this point, we're just going to say, be safe, kids. Everybody be safe. And we'll fill you in on more information when we hear it. When we come back, we're going to talk about non-free America.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Okay, well, we are back, and I like to make fun of Charlie Cook because he moved from Chicago or Illinois to Massachusetts because he didn't have enough gun restriction in one state, so then he picked another one, and the rest of us live in free America. So
I always say Illinois is a great place to be from.
Right, and then you picked Massachusetts. So I'm
look, when I moved here, I didn't know. I wasn't a gun guy.
I didn't know what I didn't know. Exactly.
Right.
And I guess there's a whole lot to I didn't know what I didn't know. So I don't know if you heard this week's news that the Illinois Supreme Court has struck down the Cook County gun and ammo tax. And so since 2013, Cook County has been collecting a $25 per gun tax and a 5-cent per round ammo tax and a 1 cent per round rimfire ammo tax. And so that's a whole lot of $25 and 1 pennies and 5 pennies that they have been collecting for all of these years.
It has been, and when we were in Chicago at the Gun Rights Policy Conference and we had to run into a Walmart to buy some ammo, we had to pay that extra special tax. And the guy's like, dude, you're paying a higher tax to be in here. And I'm like, well, we need the ammo now and we have somewhere to go and we don't have time for this. So we will unfortunately pay this tax, not gladly, but we'll pay it.
Yeah, we will pay it. So there is that. So now the interesting part of this is that it's gone clear up to the Illinois State Supreme Court. And so that means that the next step, should Cook County be completely dissatisfied with this answer, and I think that they will be, should be, is to take it to the Supreme Court. There are so many other states and municipalities who are going, no, don't take it there, because if it goes to the Supreme Court, then there is the opportunity for all gun excise taxes in all states everywhere to be impacted as it drives through the decision on Cook County. As it is right now, it would only be what is in the Illinois state. It's actually in the Illinois, what's covered by the Illinois State Supreme Court, and probably in the, what is the district circuit courts. Yeah, right. So there may be a couple states that are impacted by this decision as it sits, but that it doesn't impact the rest of the United States. My first question to you is, where's the money going? Where are they giving it all back? How do they give it back? I want my penny.
Are you kidding me? They're not going to give it back. You're going to have to produce receipts that you purchased ammo in Cook County. That would be crazy. Yeah, who knows where the money went? The money's gone. It went to some ridiculous fund, I'm sure.
So Mike Schmidt County says it's Crook County. Yeah, there's an R in there. There's maybe not an R in there. You know, see, I thought it was just named after you, Mr. Charlie Cook. I didn't realize that it was Crook.
Yeah, that one's not named after me.
No, it's okay. Got it.
Yeah.
This is great news.
It is. It's kind of like the be careful what you wish for, where. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know, in that if they want to fight this, and it could impact more states, maybe even the whole country, so that we don't have extra taxes on firearms and ammunition. And okay, if you want it to be that way, then rock on. Let's, we want to play games. Let's play games.
Let's take it to the next level, because we believe we're right and we believe you are wrong. I mean, at this point, I believe that the gun enthusiast is willing to pay the Pittman-Robertson money, because we know where that money goes. It's not a penalty money, it is a support money. And that Pittman-Robertson money goes back to each state to be able to buy hunting lands and create ranges and to do training and programs. And so there is that. And we've been paying that since 1934. Or 1935, somewhere right in,
somewhere around there,
right,
yeah,
somewhere right. Oh, just a little before me. We'll just say, we've been paying it since a little before me.
That's nonsense.
There's days when I feel like it was that we've been paying it since my birthday. We'll just go right there. But no, so I think that this is great, and anytime that one of the anti-gun municipalities gets their hands slapped, when they get spanked and they get penalized and punished, it's a great day in the gun industry when those things happen.
It's a good feeling when they get something like that.
So I want to roll out another one of those good feeling things, and that is the one that happened in California. So the Second Amendment Foundation in federal court has challenged the California gun show, their gun show prohibition, the gun show loophole. And so this is interesting that joining SAF is the California Rifle and Pistol Association, the South Bay Rod and Gun Club, B&L Productions, Crossroads of the West, Captain John's Lockers, LAX Firing Range, LAX Ammo, and 6 private individuals. The thing is that this group was successfully represented by civil rights attorney Don Kilmer, and so he successfully represented SAF in overturning the ban. This is where it gets interesting. So let me read this because I want to make sure I get it right. They successfully represented SAF, Second Amendment Foundation, in overturning the ban on gun shows at the Del Mar Fairgrounds in San Diego County. Here's the words, where the defendants were ordered to pay the plaintiffs over $500,000. Now, who's the defendants? Named as the defendants is the California Governor, Gavin Newsom, in his official and personal capacity, the Attorney General, Robert Bonta, California Department of Food and Agriculture Secretary Karen Ross, San Diego County District Attorney Stephen Sommer, San Diego County Counsel Thomas Montgomery, and the list goes on. Is that not beautiful that Gavin Newsom, in his official and personal capacity, was charged and found ordered to pay more than $500,000 because they created a venue and said you couldn't do something that was perfectly legal?
It's a great thing. And the reason why they would want to stop a gun show is I'm sure completely absurd.
Yeah.
I'm sure I know that you bought some guns at gun shows, and I bought some guns at gun shows too. And when you buy a gun from at a gun show, if you buy it from a dealer, they still have to go through all the dealer stuff. They have to do the 4473. They do the NICS check, and here in occupied territory, we have a transfer registration that they have to do. So it's not like people are getting guns illegally or doing, skirting the law. And it's a little frustrating that they call it the gun show loophole.
When it's not really. It is a private face-to-face transfer. And so you meet this person, they look at you, you look at them, and you have to ask them certain questions like, can you legally own this gun? And in a lot of cases, like for me at gun shows, the first thing that they say is, let me see your concealed carry. Because that means that someone has already done my background check. And so a face-to-face transfer, though you are not absolutely required to, a face-to-face transfer using a concealed carry license gives the buyer and the seller the confidence that both parties were able to have these guns in the first place.
Right, that they've passed a background check. It goes to how many background checks do we have to pass? In Massachusetts, to get a license to carry or to get an FID card, you have to go through 2 background checks. The town does one, and then the state does one. Isn't that enough? And then when you go buy a gun from a gun store, you have to do another one. And if you do something that's going to not let you pass a background check, they're going to take your gun license away from you. If you get a DUI, you're losing your gun license. Even though the two aren't necessarily related, they're going to take your gun license if you get a DUI.
They don't just say, don't leave town, right? I mean, there's some repercussions to these things, and there is that. So this is another one where we're going to watch this, we're going to watch the space, we're going to watch what happens, and I want to see Gavin Newsom, California Governor Gavin Newsom, open up his wallet and count out $1, $2, $3.
Like a game show.
I want to see it. I do want to see it. I mean, heck, people would pay to be in the audience to see that happen. We'll be back right after this.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Wow. Here we are. We are back with our last and final section of the show with Charlie Cook as our guest host. And so, Charlie, did you bring a story or something that you would like to talk about, or should I just keep rolling on here?
I say keep rolling. I did a lot of research on the Alec Baldwin stuff and prop guns, and I know we didn't necessarily have a history segment, but we all know that the other time somebody passed away from using a prop gun was with Brandon Lee, and I guess they were using a .44 revolver, and they had a bullet that got stuck in the barrel from one of the. Again, I don't know when they were using this, but there was a bullet that was stuck in the barrel, and he fired the next round, and the blank that was in there ended up coming out and shooting and killing someone, or shooting and killing him. Sorry. There was another incident in the 1980s where a young guy was on a TV show, and he was playing around and with a gun with blanks, and it did have blanks in it, and he put the gun to his head and squeezed the trigger, and the shrapnel from his skull went into his brain, and he died a day or so later.
Yeah, the overall percussion, there's still energy, and that energy goes somewhere.
Yeah.
We were at a Halloween party one time where someone had a blank gun, and they thought that it was funny to go around shooting it in this room. And so someone else was dressed up in a big padded suit, in the era when it was better to when you could be the Michelin Tire Man, or you could be the Stay Puft Marshmallow Gang. Right. Well, he took the blank gun and put it up against the fluff on this costume and started the person on fire in their costume. And so the next thing you know, let's just say that if you're dressed for wearing a padded costume, you're probably not
dressed for much else.
overly dressed underneath that. And so when you are stripping in a party down to your BVDs because the rest of you is on fire, it was, it's not something to play with. And it is, the energy in there is to be respected. And there is that,
It really is. It really is. I, with the Gungrams, I actually thought about auditioning for these, America's Got Talent or something like this. And I actually talked to a friend of mine that's a reloader, and he's got an FFL and everything. And I said, hey, I want to play at Carnegie Hall or Radio City Music Hall, and I want to shoot a gun. I want to play the trumpet on the stage, and I want to shoot a gun from the, and I want to shoot a gun on the stage. So what do I need to do to shoot some blanks? And he's like, got to convert the barrel and then buy blank ammo, which is not necessarily easy to find, and it's not necessarily cheap. And I'm like, all right, that's out. It's not worth the hassle,
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of
and
times,
there's a lot of people who don't necessarily want to reload because of the legal responsibilities associated with it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what I think is important is with like I said, with all this research on the Baldwin stuff, I've seen some people mention that I don't want to say we shouldn't feel bad for him. We should feel bad for him. But what I think we also need to note is how it was a real gun, but they're still calling it a prop gun. I don't. It's interesting how they say that the gun discharged. It wasn't fired. He didn't shoot it. It was discharged, and it kind of makes me a little nuts the way that they changed the language so that their guy, their guy doesn't look so bad.
You can watch the news, select a narrative, and you can see it go. I mean, you and I have a friend, Dan Waz, who is really good at picking out what the news narratives are and how
he's
those
an
kinds
expert
of
at
things
that.
are.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's as simple as when the news comes out, the news producers pick a winner and a loser that minute. That would be why we know Zimmerman by Zimmerman and Ty Vaughn by Ty Vaughn, because they picked who was the good guy, who was Trayvon, who was the good guy, who was the bad guy. The same thing in this story, in those pieces where they pick who's going to look innocent and who's going to, as much as they possibly could, portray it.
Absolutely. George Zimmerman, gosh, what did they call him? They called him the first white Hispanic, is what they called him. And then you find out that he's German and Cuban.
Right.
How's that happen? Really? A white Hispanic?
The narrative. We're going to adjust the narrative to fit what we
their story.
Right, exactly. I don't know. So, hey, I have one story that I want to roll out because I saw this and I thought, I want Charlie's opinion on this. There is a Florida man, of course, it's always Florida, but there's a Florida man who shoots his neighbor dead because his cat wandered into his yard. And so these two guys are fighting about the fact that the cat goes where the cat wants to go, and in the end, one of the neighbors is killed. So what advice would you give to somebody if they've got such a hot-headed neighbor that they're terrified of their neighbor?
Don't have a cat.
Don't have a cat.
So I'm writing my book, Yet Another Reason Why the Cooks Don't Have a Pet. This could be one.
That would be it. Don't have a pet cat.
I've got a really good friend that's hot-headed, and I've encouraged him to become a gun owner, and he's bought a few guns. And when he buys a gun, I send him magazines, and I send him John Petrolino's Decoding Firearms book, autographed by John. And I flat out told him, I'm like, dude, you are a hot-headed man. You should not carry a gun. And he's like, yeah, I kind of agree with you. You can't necessarily pick your neighbors, but people need to realize that guns are supposed to be, and if you use it for self-defense, it's supposed to be the last resort. It's not the first resort. It's not to prove anything. Maybe he should have just shot the cat. You know what I mean?
Well, honestly, my thoughts to this whole thing is, if your neighbor is that horrific, move.
Yeah.
Because there's a spot where the rest of your life isn't worth living next to or fighting with someone that it's that horrific of an experience that you don't necessarily want to go home of a weekend. You don't want to go out in your yard. You don't want to, all of those types of things. That if there is somebody that is that bad, don't have them in your circle. Whatever your circle is, make your circle smaller, move your circle to another location, do something a little different, because there just is no, and all the neighbors called it. They're like, somebody's going to get hurt by this guy.
So I mean, look, it doesn't happen where all of a sudden, like, everything's great, and we're going over for Halloween parties and doing the trick or treating together, and then all of a sudden he shoots you. Like, there's got to be some signals.
Yeah, you've seen it building, and it's like, okay, read these as clues and take action associated with it. I tell my students a lot that if you stick around for it's the principle of the thing, you're wrong. That you're never going to win on principle on something where someone else is reacting on emotion. So don't do it. Don't let it happen to you. Don't let it happen to your family. Those types of things. And then if the cat had bit the biscuit, as sad as that was for the neighbor to get so angry about a cat,
it's a little nuts.
Absolutely more than a little. So, folks, I just want to say thanks to Charlie Cook for joining us on Hour 1 of Eye on the Target Radio this week. He's done his very best to be the Rob Campbell fill-in, plaid shirt, beard, car hat, the whole kit and caboodle. And I hear that Charlie is a great brand, and we'll see him on another show.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
When people use a fire firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
supposed to ride. Standing in the station, ready to step inside. All you can see, something that you do, was red as the future was waiting for you. Train rolls in the station, you cannot make a move. Something inside you gives you heat, and then you know it's true. Is the fog lifting, or is it in your mind? You stand frozen as time unwinds. You can weep and moan, or you can reach your hand up and stop standing alone. Let them take your hand as you lift your face. Rise and take your place.
which is Matt Mallory. And Matt Mallory, you'll find him at Meet the Pressers. And this week, you'll find him here on Eye on the Target Radio. So, hey, Matt, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. A little bit of a glitch with all the stuff trying to get the board going, and the TV show, and then the radio, and it's a little bit hectic. And I really appreciate the fact that you just came off the range and said, I can time this so that I can hit the door, and I've got 6 minutes to go. So instead of saying, no, you're out of your mind, I'm not going to make time for you, you're like, I got 6 minutes, we can make this happen. So,
I think we're like-minded in that sense. We just make it happen, right? Just like this. We didn't give up. We're doing what we got to do to adapt and overcome when it comes to technology problems.
We will definitely be doing that. So what kind of a class were you teaching? Can you tell us, or is it a big secret?
Yeah, no, I'd have to kill you if I tell you, but no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so it was an NRA basic pistol course. I had 12 students signed up, and we ended up, 10 students signed up, but actually 8 ended up coming. 2 of the husband and wife had an emergency. They weren't able to make it, but it was good. It was a really good class. I haven't taught it in a while, and it was kind of good to get back into the role of teaching that. The live fire stuff, I was pretty surprised how many people I had signed up for it because of ammunition being so hard to find and costly.
Well, good. I'm glad that you're teaching it. I mean, I think that every day, every opportunity that an instructor gets to share gun knowledge in a controlled environment, in such that the students are paying attention to you, you're the expert, they're embracing that. I think that is well worth our time and our efforts.
For sure. I mean, that's what we do. I always say I love what I do, but I hate that I have to do it, to teach people how to use a gun in self-defense and, stop bad guys and that kind of thing.
Right. I'm the same way. I am someone who people make a lot of assumptions, and I'm like, look, when you come to my class, the first thing I'm going to teach you is run away. And if running away is not an option, then we'll talk about what we do to survive the encounter. But the first clue is if you see something going down, get out of Dodge.
Right. Yeah. I think we talked about this when you were a guest co-host on my show or Clinton, my show, Meet the Pressers. I had an instructor a while back had said to me in the class, he was sitting in the class, and he said, I want everybody to think of 2 people that you care about deeply, and they care about you deeply, and you die like that. Their life is drastically going to change. Emotionally or financially, they're going to be devastated because you're no longer around. You owe it to them not to be in the fight. We're fighting over tangible things that we cannot take to the grave, so why? Why are we doing that? That mindset of just getting away to live to another day. When I ask my students that, well, what is the purpose for you carrying a gun? Well, the purpose is to carry a gun to be able to defend my family and stay alive. So do the smartest thing you can to stay alive. Don't be in the fight.
Right. Yeah. Run away. He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. So, there's so much of that. And just, I think one of the most valuable things in any of the classes where you're talking self-defense is raising people's levels of awareness and getting them to put their darn phones down and their eyes up, so that they are more aware of what's going on around them, and that they can take actions, maneuvers, whatever, to move and switch and get out of trouble.
Yeah, I mean that mindset. You don't know what you don't know. And we should always, everybody, even us as instructors, should always be seeking more knowledge or better ways to teach things to our students or learn things. All of that, just constant, endless journey of learning new things and new ways to do things and, better ways to do things, more efficient, et cetera. And it doesn't matter if you're an instructor or if you've arrived. I never want to think that I've learned everything, because then what's left to do? Go home and see my maker, I guess.
That's yeah, you got it. So, you were an instructor, but tell me your journey as a student. What do you do? What do you do to learn as an instructor? What do you do to learn?
Probably about 5 years ago, I reached out to a few friends of mine in the industry and said, listen, I'm looking to host some national instructors, and I want to get some other training under my belt other than the typical NRA, USCCA mindset, which nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to get other perspectives from other former law enforcement and military, et cetera. And he gave me a list of 5, and I just started reaching out to them, scheduling and talking with them, having coffee with them, just to brainstorm. So it's not so much just about their formulated class, but it's about forging those relationships and learning their mindset. There's a lot of that, like Masad Ayub and Tom Givens. There's just some knowledge that they have that is in their classes, but sometimes you'll get those tidbits, and you form those relationships outside of the classes. And that was kind of my goal, was to be there and just try to glean anything I can from them to learn, and I've kind of made it a goal in that sense. I've trained with Chris Tanto Peranto. I've trained with Larry Vickers, with Jeff Gonzalez. A lot of those different ones. Lots of law enforcement training, New York State, elsewhere. ASP for baton handcuffing, handcuffs, flashlight, that kind of stuff. It's just anything. And actually, it's funny. Last night in bed, my wife and I were talking, and I said, "So I think I want to get back into mixed martial arts." She's like, "You're not gonna fight," and I'm like, "No. I want to train so that I have it. So if it comes down to me going hand to hand with somebody, and I'm not going to look to go out there and fight. I'm not getting I'm too old and too beat up for that. But to have that experience and knowledge to be able to use my body and weight distribution and use other people's weight and momentum against them, I mean, that makes sense, because the chances of you using the gun, the statistics are pretty low. I actually do that with students in the class too. I'll ask them, okay, how many of you in here have been in a situation where somebody almost killed you to almost you died, and a gun, you could have been justified in using a gun to save your life? And almost every class that I have, nobody raises their hand. And I think one class I did last week, I had 1 or 2 people raise their hand. And I said, did it happen more than once? And one person goes, nope, it was only one time. And I said, but you survived. You didn't use a gun, right? They go, true. And I said, okay. Would that be 20% of your encounters with other people? They go, no, way less than 20%. All the encounters I've had, they had one, right? Is what they said. The lady, she was domestic violence. She said she had a few encounters, but still wasn't even 20% of all the encounters that she's had. So that was my point, was like roughly 80% of assaults are simple assaults. You're not justifying using a gun. So you may have the gun, and that's a good tool if you need it, but you should have other things, verbal judo, defensive tactics, right, hand-to-hand combat, less lethal tools like pepper spray, taser, stuff like that. More likely to use those than you would a gun.
And I think you're very right there. I mean, to me, I have at one point had a circumstance where I thought I was going to be called upon to do that, to the point where you're at the, do I put my hand on my gun? Do I where actually that thought process? Yeah. And at the same time, I was dialing 911 to explain to them what was going on and why I was concerned enough that my other hand was going onto my firearm. And to me, luckily, the police officers arrived before anything else had to happen, and I was relieved of duty, and life was good, and I got to go home, and it was all that. But one circumstance, and I didn't even pull it. I just had the mindset that I was fearful that I was going to have to.
So I got a instructor in Florida that he hasn't taken any classes from me. I haven't taken any from him. He's somewhat known. He writes a lot of articles, and he's said on dinner, I've gone out to dinner, we've gone out as a family and stuff, and he said to me, I've had numerous times, kind of boastful and prideful, like, I had to pull my gun, I think he said 8 or 9 times in public on people. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you either have the worst luck of anybody I've ever met, or you're just not following John Farnham's stupid rules. Like, stupid place, stupid people, stupid time, stupid things. Stay away from all that stuff so your life doesn't become stupid. Because he's making some bad choices. Because I'm thinking to myself, 9 times? Like, okay, you live in a bad area, move. You work at a bad... Like, after 1 or 2, it's like you keep getting in a car accident. You're doing something wrong. The problem is you.
the odds are you're not going to survive one of these times, so stop playing those odds. Exactly.
So true.
So hey, folks, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we will have more interesting articles, interesting topics, interesting conversation with Matt Mallory from Meet the Pressers. And you're going to want to look him up because you're going to want to know who he is and hear more from him because he's really pretty interesting.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to davenportguns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefakul and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back, and I'm watching Matt, and I'm just making sure that we've got audio with him because I can see him looking at his phone as opposed to this is the beauty of being on OpsLens on demand TV at the same time we are on live radio. We've got got technologies going left, right, and center, but here we go. So
lots of pots in the fire.
We do, and it's like, okay, can you juggle all this at the same time? It's taken a while to kind of learn how to be able to do all that, look around, and still communicate as need be. So I brought the first story that I wanted to talk to you about, and that was the news that came out right before we started traveling, and that was that Smith & Wesson is moving from Massachusetts to Tennessee. And what's your thought of a gun company moving away from like 150 years of history, 170 years of history, to move to another state?
Yeah, well, we had that happen with Car Arms, right? New York to Pennsylvania. And it's sad when that happens, when the states are making it so bad for companies and they want to move out of the state. You know, we look at that in the New England states, 13 colonies area, where we've got the politics has gotten so bad that they're running legal companies that are built to be able to make firearms for legal people to defend themselves from illegal dirtbags. It makes me sick to my stomach. It makes my stomach curl. It's sad. It's sad. I mean, I'm just glad that they're staying in business, unlike Remington, right, which is another New York company. And for those of you who don't know, I'm in New York, just to kind of
let you know. To me, this is such a big decision because the companies, you're right, are being penalized, and they're being beat up, and they're being taxed, and they've got all of this stuff that's happening. I mean, we watched one of the mag companies move out of Colorado because they couldn't actually sell their products in the state in which they manufactured them. But you know that when a company goes and moves like this, that they are either disrupting families or they are losing good quality employees. In a time when we know how hard it is to get employees, they're having to make the toughest decisions in the world here.
Yeah, it's sad that the states don't even think about those families, and how those families are. It's all about votes. I honestly, I mean, that's what I've come down to. In the beginning, before COVID and everything, and because even in New York, we saw that where they were shutting gun stores down. You couldn't go in, you couldn't do any background checks, you couldn't go into a gun store. They were shutting them down. There was a gun store in Western New York where New York State actually sent them a letter and saying, we're going to fine you. If you don't shut down, we're going to fine you. And they actually brought a lawsuit against New York State because of that. And it's like Second Amendment. This thing back here above my head, right?
Right. The thing that it says that, it's illegal to do. It is, we're law-abiding citizens. We follow more of the laws and we pay more of the fees and more of the taxes and more of the backgrounds and the searches and the inspections and the, all of this is stuff. And we grumble, but we're willing to do that. And then we sit and look at some of this. So think about, some of the employees I believe will move. Others, it's like you're tied to where do your family, your in-laws, your kids in school. If your kids have a couple more years of school, do you pack them up and move them out of that? What circumstances? There is so much stuff. I worked for a company one time that had bought another company, and they moved it 20 miles. And 20 miles was the same as moving it 200 miles because the people who lived north of the 20-mile mark would mean how much more do they have to drive. Those who live south of it, it made it closer for them, or it wasn't that big of a deal. But it's like two intersecting circles. And when you say to somebody that you're moving, they're already driving 20 miles down, and that was what they're willing to do, and then you move it 20 miles more, are they really willing to drive 40 miles to go to work every day? And so just over time, you lose those employees because they're tied to their houses, they're tied to their schools, they're tied to their communities. And so I don't think that these decisions are made lightly, but I think that it makes a lot of sense that the gun companies are drawing a line and saying, no more, I've got to do something. And this is the something I'm willing to do.
Well, hopefully we get a win in the courts on November 3rd, with the Supreme Court and the NRA, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. That might set the precedent for the 13 states when it comes to handgun licenses, and that might be such a big win for us that we haven't had in quite a long time, that it might force or might motivate, excite, energize people to start bringing more cases up to the Supreme Court if we get a good turnout for it.
Okay, so what that is New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, and they're actually hearing the testimony in November.
Correct.
And so to our listeners, that means that they will get to do the testimony, but we won't hear anything from anywhere from 6 to 8 months after that. And
Yep.
so the wheels of justice they
slow.
turn so slow. They say, that they turn slowly and they grind fine. And so we can only hope that that the fine grind that we get out of this is a case, as opposed to the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association against New York City, that it got to this point and then they deemed it moot, and it was all over.
And that was just about being able to carry within or outside of the city to be able to practice at ranges and stuff. They were making it, you could only use your gun at ranges within New York City, which was only like 11, and they were packed, and they had memberships, long waiting time. So that came about, and all New York City did was play their little game, or New York State did, and they changed the wording just enough so that it would make that case moot, which is, politics at its finest.
It really is. I mean, and frankly, as gun people, we're learning all these legal terms. We're not lawyers, but we almost have to be as we try to learn, what does this mean? What does that mean? Wait, they said this word. What? I've got to know more. So, hey, when we come back, I want to hear one of the stories that you've got. Folks, we'll be right back.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.IamTheTargetRadio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.IamTheTargetRadio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
This is Dan Perkins with your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day. If you're a veteran with a disability, are you interested in a program that could give you a free home? Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post-9/11 veterans to enable them to rebuild their lives. These homes restore some of the freedom and independence our veterans sacrificed while defending our country and enable them to focus on their family and recovery. Since its inception in 2004, nearly 90 cents of every dollar has gone directly to the program to serve veterans. HFOT builds these homes where the veterans choose to live and continues its relationship with the veterans after the home delivery to assist them in rebuilding their lives. For more information, go to their website, www.hfotusa.org, and see if you can qualify for the home of your dreams. This has been your Songs and Stories for Soldiers, Veterans Tip of the Day.
Okay, we are back, and with us is our guest host, Matt Mallory from Meet the Pressers. And so here he is dancing to our background music. So, you never quite know what you're going to see when you do multimedia. So what story or article or thing did you bring that you thought was interesting enough for our audience?
So I'm the mindset of people being close enough to lose their marbles and kind of go off the rails. And it made me think of this article that I just recently ran across, October 22nd, the Associated Press, which I hate saying their name, but that's who posted it. Mm-hmm. Gentleman was fired from a grain elevator company in Nebraska, southern Nebraska. 61-year-old, not going to say his name because I'm not going to give him that justice. And got fired, came back at 2 p.m., shot 3 people with a handgun. And then another employee went and got a shotgun from the office, which is interesting. And then ended up shooting the guy, the active killer, and he ended up dying at the scene, or dead at he was pronounced dead at the hospital. And that just makes me think, like, when we talk about, I call them active killers, not active shooters. Mm-hmm. I want to focus on what they're doing, not what the tool they're using. So the majority of the time, an active killer is going to be somebody you know. And usually the higher percentage, 50-some-odd% last time I checked, is going to be somebody that you know that you're associated with. And this is a perfect example. He came back and started shooting people because he got fired. He lost it. And we're all really at that point. We never know at what point where a breaking point is. Some people have a bigger breaking point than others, and sometimes the world comes down on us. So, that comes back to be nice to everybody until it's no longer time to be nice, right? Because you never know if you're mean to somebody or you're rude to somebody or whatnot, how they might take that. That might just be the final straw that broke the camel's back, and they kind of go off cuckoo land. So, it's sad when stuff like that happens, but that might have been him getting fired was his last straw, and he just, I'm not justifying it. Obviously, it's terrible, but it's definitely anybody at any time could lose their marbles.
Well, there's the anybody at any time kind of thing, but there's, more. To me, this story was the company shotgun. What
right? I thought that too. I was like,
it's Nebraska, so it is
Dorothy,
free America.
You're not in Kansas anymore.
Right. Well, you're not in Massachusetts or Illinois. That's
New York.
That's for darn sure. So the fact that there was something at the ready, this also brings me to mind a story that happened years ago that is just kind of burnt into my head because I work a day job in manufacturing, and there are times when you know that there's somebody that's just a little whatever. And the story where a guy in Oklahoma got fired and he pulled out a knife and beheaded the HR director at the manufacturing facility. And it's like, I go into the staff meeting and I say, okay, folks, what's our plan? What's our thought? What's our plan? And if you start with the word hope, we're in deep doo-doo, right? So what exactly, what do you do in a circumstance where you've alienated someone because the HR director sometimes has to make some pretty tough decisions? And, what do you do? What's your plan? I work in aerospace, and we talk about risk and risk mitigation, and then we talk about the human condition, and you look at this and you go, what is your plan as management? You're responsible for every soul that works here. So are you going to run forward, or are you going to run backwards? What are you picking up on the way to make that choice or that path or that plan? And how are you going to do it? And so the fact that this man knew where the company gun was willing to run to it and then run forward to protect his coworkers, kudos to him. There's times when no matter how bad your day goes, no matter how bad, tomorrow will be better.
Yep.
And so there is nothing that justifies taking the life of another human being because you're angry. Nothing. Yep. But the backup plan of what are you going to do as you are responsible for all of these folks and their families.
Yeah, I mean, that thought process that I'll say to my students, I'll ask them, I'll have a bunch of students in the class, and I'll go, who puts their seatbelt on while they're getting in a car accident? Anybody? Yeah, nobody raises their hand. I don't know why. I just don't get it. The concept you're putting on ahead of time to prepare for a car accident. We have to be thinking of this stuff like this is a realism that this stuff happens. Therefore, we need to have a game plan in place, interneural pathways, so when our amygdala gets hijacked, we go straight to that hippocampus and we're able to pull that knowledge up because it's on the top of the stack. It's something we've rehearsed and practiced, like fire drills as kids in school, right? Too many people just close a door, and the door's shut and locked. Is there glass in the door? Because, glass only keeps good people honest. And like Columbine, they shoot the glass and walk in through the door. So those are things that you don't know what you don't know, but some of it's common sense for you kind of should know that, that's not going to stop a bad guy. Like a sign that says no guns allowed.
Right, that's gonna stop them, right? Exactly. And when you say fire drill things, I have to tell you that I think I'm a smart person. We'll just start there, and I can figure things out, and I can figure things out pretty quickly. I started my house on fire, and immediately I turned into an idiot. Okay, so I was like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And I use that in my class to say, look, you think you can think it through. As soon as something bad happens, you are focused on that bad to the point where you can't think any longer. So you can only do the things that you have practiced before, that you have thought about before, that are already there and programmed. Because there's nothing new coming in. Absolutely zero, nothing new coming in. And I luckily for me, they came and they put my house out, and life was all good. And it wasn't a horrible story, and I didn't lose my house. But
is that why you're redoing the kitchen?
No. But no,
Okay.
I literally, it was one of those kinds of things where the neighbor calls my husband and says, the fire department is at your house. And so my husband calls me, and I was like, well, you want to talk to the fireman? Because he's standing right here. You're right. But, you just don't think. So you have to have an emergency plan, and you need to know what you're going to do with that emergency plan. And so some of us, running is not an option. So then what's going to be your backup plan? Some of us, fighting is not an option. So what is going to be your backup plan?
Yeah.
What options do you have that work for you, so that you've got more tools than just, well, I'm just going to sit here and scream.
Take it, yeah. And they make a good point with the running and fighting aspect. And I'll tell people I have a shock knife that I use in my classes. And I'll be standing there. Anybody thought about what you do if somebody came at you with a knife? And then people are like, yeah, well, I'd run. I'm like, okay, so can you run faster than me? Because if you can't run faster than me, I'm stabbing you in the back as you run away, right? And then I'll look at somebody, I'll fight. I'll knock it out of your hands. I'm like, okay. And then what I do is I take the shock knife and I lunge at them with it on, so it's going as it's coming at at them, and then they swat at it and they're like, ow, 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 because they'll shock themselves, And I'm like,
right.
It's like rock, paper, scissors as a kid. You're the paper and the knife is the scissors. You lose. You really don't want to fight somebody with a knife if you can help it, but also running might not be the best option depending on the situation. So it's a complicated answer. It's not something, just run or just fight. You might be better off doing one or the other or neither, right? You might just want to succumb. Okay, yep, what do you want? You want my money? All right, no problem. I'll give you my money, right? And then maybe when you get that chance to run or you get that chance to fight, get off the axe, pull a gun or something, that might be a better option versus just the automatic, what's built into us is fight or run.
Right. Yeah, and there's just a mix and knowing that you've got some different options in what is available to you. Like I said, I read a lot of stories of circumstances, and then I put myself in the circumstance of going,
beautiful.
What would I do? If this were my grocery store, if this were my gas station, if this were my manufacturing plant, if this were my house, what would I do? What tools do I need? How do I do that? So that it becomes a lot more familiar. And so then you can utilize the training, like I use the fire extinguisher to knock the fire down so that the fire department had time to get there, those kinds of things. So we'll be back right after this with Matt Mallory from Meet the Pressers.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Sefakul and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a Range Master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, so we are back. So Matt, why don't you tell our listeners how they can find you on Meet the Pressers?
I would love to. So meetthepressers.com or Meet the Pressers on all the social media stuff. And I personally like to blow stuff up, so I try to add things of me blowing things up or shooting fun, cool guns like my Tommy gun in the back behind me or my 45-70 revolver one-handed. Don't believe me? Check it out, meetthepressers.com. It's up on our YouTube show.
So meetthepressers.com. I want to tell you that, I was at the Tommy Gun Warehouse this past month. I guess it's been a couple weeks now. I picked up a Tommy gun, and I got the tiger striped silver Tommy gun that truly makes a fashion statement. In addition to just the Tommy gun fun.
I saw that. It's pretty. You don't want to shoot that, though.
Oh, I'm shooting it.
Awesome.
There isn't that spot where I've got a gun that's just too pretty. Unless it's got historical significance that there is no replacement for it, they all come and they all go to the range.
Yeah, that's true. I got a Model 12 shotgun up here, pump action shotgun on the wall that I probably won't shoot much, if at all, just because it's kind of that cool gun that I just want to say I have, and that's it.
And go from there. Yeah, I inherited a couple from my father that will be safe queens because they are early Ruger 357s in the family of when Ruger started their first centerfires. My father was a heavy duty collector of those guns, and so as he passed away, each of us got a favorite or two, and so I actually have guns that were manufactured by Ruger in 1955. So
wow, jeez.
Yes.
Well, I
Yeah,
got you beat. I got a 1911. It wasn't manufactured in 1955, though.
When was your 1911 manufactured?
I don't know. It's a current day one. It's actually Car Arms, so it's a Desert Eagle 1911. Yeah.
Got it.
Magnum
So our
research.
video producer wants a Desert Eagle so bad. So periodically all of our listeners hear that he's like, I really want one. So
Well, I actually that's what I was hoping to get from Car, and then they ended up sending me the 45. See, I can't do this. I feel backward. I'm backward pointing.
you are backwards, yeah. Okay.
4570 revolver up there. You getting it?
Okay.
You see the revolver with the scope.
Yeah.
So they sent me that one, and I've got quite a few revolvers. That's my favorite. 10-inch barrel, 5-pound gun with a scope. I shot at 175 yards, so it is one of my favorites. Yeah.
So do you shoot it just marksmanship, or do you shoot it hunting?
My goal when I got it a couple years ago was to use it for hunting. I haven't had a chance to, and one of the reasons too in New York State you can't hunt with a rifle in this county, Onondaga County where I live, but you can do a handgun. So if I use a handgun with a rifle cartridge, which that is, then I can take some deer down, which I'm hoping to. Next month I'm going to go out with it.
There you go. You know, I have never been hunting, and it's not that I am opposed to hunting. I was raised by a Marine who's like, if you shoot it, you field dress it, and I am opposed to field dressing.
Field dressing,
yeah. It's a temperature thing for me. So I have the utmost respect for the animal. I can process it after it's cold. I can do whatever. There's a transition that I need a Bwana.
I hear you. I mean, I ask students in my class if they've ever asked a vegan to field dress a deer for them. It just doesn't go over well. They really don't want to field dress deers. You're not a vegan though, right? You're like me. Yeah. But,
no, I am a meat eater, and I respect I respect the hunting process and the fact that here is an animal who is now organically grown, who has given its life to feed my family. All of that is great. Yeah. So if I could go with someone who would be like, sure, I'll field dress it for you, I'd be like, I'm in a hunter safety class tomorrow. But
there you go.
So far, nobody has volunteered to be my Bwana. So I
love doctors. I love doctors, but I don't want to stand there and like watch them cut somebody open and sew them back up. I love what they do. They fix people, right? But I don't think I want to be sticking my hands in a body trying to, sew them up or fix them up. So I get that. It's kind of queasy thing.
Yeah, I so respect all of that. But so at some point, I'm just going to have to suck it up, get over it, and go, because I know that I am missing opportunities, and I am missing just an experience that it would be great to do. And I've got some of my female gun friends across the country who are like, I'll take you boar hunting, or I'll take you up in the mountains and we'll do this. And I mean, when Lanny Barnes, biathlete, says, I'll take you hunting, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a wuss. Right.
I'm hoping I'm going to be down in New Orleans and Florida in December teaching classes, and I'm trying to schedule a gator hunt and a boar hunt. So I want to do both of those. I want to check those off my bucket list, if you will. And the boar hunt, if I can do it, I want to do it from a helicopter.
Okay.
So those are kind of like two of my wish lists.
The gator thing, I may not have as big of a problem with that because they're cold, right? So it may already have solved my problem. No, I don't know.
So it's a hot, cold thing, huh?
It's a temperature. It really is a temperature thing. That's my temperature texture. So where do you schedule a gator hunt?
There's places that do it down there. Actually, I originally thought that I would be able to do gators in Louisiana and hogs in Florida. And they got a really short hunting season in Louisiana, I guess, for gators. So it seems like I'm probably going to flip it around and go the other way. I'm going to probably do the gator hunt in Florida and the hog hunt in Louisiana when I'm down there in December. That's what I'm hoping. I'm reaching out to all my contacts. So anybody out there knows anything about that down there,
You're
Let's
in.
do it.
You want to do it. I mean, that it would be very interesting. And then the next question is, so let's just explore the gator thing for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hunt the gator, are you making boots out of him, or are you having gator bites, or are you having the combination of the two?
All the above. I'll wear my gator skin boots and my gator hat while I'm eating the gator bites for all I care. I mean, I'm gonna utilize the animal. I'm a believer in the same. You kill it, you eat it. So.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's given his all. So you might as well utilize it. There is that exactly.
Utilize the whole thing.
So yeah, it would be fun. I knew that CNJFO is doing a hog hunt, and so they've got some kind of a private island hog hunt, and I was watching that, and they said that they would help do it, and so I'm looking at that as just as maybe a way to break into it, but that's
that'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, so that would be if something falls through, you could look at the CNJFO for the hog hunt.
Everybody loves bacon, right? Well, not everybody, but I do.
I do. Yeah, bacon. Bacon is the heart of we'll just say we'll go there. So folks, I just want you to go look up Matt Mallory from Meet the Pressers, because Matt has the show has shifted around a little bit, and he has a series of guest hosts who join him, and his lineup of guest hosts are pretty darn amazing. You want to name drop one or two? We've got 20 seconds.
Sure. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. You mentioned George Zimmerman earlier. George Zimmerman's been on the show. We've had Dual Survival, Joe Tedai. We've had Benghazi Heroes. We've had Top Shots from the History Channel. Max Martini from 50 Shades of Grey and different movies.
So there you go.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.